Alright, so what I have for gear tonight is I have my lighter, because we bought lighters to help start fires. I have a knife. We bought a marine survival knife. Mine is not sharp at the moment. I couldn't find the sharpener, so I'm just going to use that one. I have this rope to simulate paracord because I could not find my paracord. For food, I have 1 pound, 3 ounces of beans. They are not black turtle beans, but they are beans nonetheless. And then I have 8 water bottles, which I think is 135 fluid ounces of water. I have this pot, which is roughly the same size as the pot that we bought. I have the tarp that is already given to us at the start. I have a sweatshirt, because we did buy some sweatshirts. I have the hatchet that because we bought a hatchet, so that'll help make the shelter, because I do not have any plywood, which we bought to make the shelter, so I'm going to have to be using this and go the old-fashioned way of building a shelter with sticks. I got this bucket just so we have, because I know we did buy some buckets. I only have one though. And this is the sleeping bag that I'm going to be using for tonight. And then for personal use, I just have this notebook and some pens that I can use to describe my experience in a journal. And then for my clothing, I'm wearing some ankle support boots. And there goes the journal. And then I have long socks. And I don't own any sweatpants, so I'm just wearing the next closest things, which is a long pair of jeans. I'm wearing the only only long sleeve shirt that I own. And then, yeah, so I think I'm going to get going with the shelter first. So, see you there. Alright, so the wind is blowing this way, so I'm going to try to put my shelter. I'm going to have a main supporting branch that comes down here. It's going to be that one over there that fell recently into our yard. And then I'm going to make sticks, place sticks along the side, and try to get some leaves up to block wind. I don't think it's going to rain tonight, but if it is, I'll probably have to just go through that, because that's what this is. So, okay, so I found the actual good hatchet. So this is more like what we would have bought. So I've done about this much so far. Alright, so I've been working on the shelter for a while, and man, it is a lot more work than you would think it would be. So far I have gone through 2 of the 8 water bottles. Alright, so I do know that you do have to soak beans before cooking them, because their shell is waterproof, and there's only one little tiny hole inside of it that allows water to get in. And you want that inside of the water to cook the beans. So I don't know exactly. I used about this much water, so we still have some in the bottle left. But I'm just going to let these soak overnight. I do not know where I could put them. Probably I'm going to end up storing them under the bucket so nothing gets to them. So, new plan of attack. The bucket is too small to fit over that handle, so instead I'm just going to be using this rock that I found. I'm just going to brush it off. I'm just going to put it over. And it fits pretty well. Alright, so right now I'm just going to make a little demonstration of what a snare trap that we might build be. I mean, you can always do the ones where it's just a standstill loop that when an animal walks through it, it'll choke. But I'm thinking about doing one, it's harder to build, but it's more likely that the animal will die, and it'll be quicker. So what I did is I found some sticks that had some notches. So like, here's a notch right here, so I'll probably cut it off here, and it has all of this long stick going down. And then I have this here, and it has a notch up there, and I'm all the way down. So I'm going to cut these down And then this we'll get to later. I'll have to probably whittle some points into things and cut rope. So I'm gonna cut off this top here, and I might just leave the whole bottom section of this. I'm gonna cut off some of the bottom section of this one. So now with my knife, I'm going to whittle some points into the ends of each one of these sticks and take out any of these knots that are sticking out, so I make this stick straight as possible. Because we are driving these into the ground a bit so they hold in. So as you can see, now I have a slight point on this just so I can drive it into the ground easier, and all the knots are carved out to make the stick as thin as it can be so I can drive it into the ground. Now the next step is you are going to take your rope and you're going to find a good thin but sturdy stick that can hold pressure, and you're going to tie a square knot. Now that that's tied over, you're going to find a tree limb and you're just going to toss it over so it can hang down. Alright, so I pounded each one of our sticks with the 2 prongs outside there. And then I have this going up and around so the rope hangs on the other side. And a good way to test if this works is you put this stick in the notches. Now you can see that this one is a little bit farther, but it still works. So if I pull straight up, it still stays there. And you're going to want a big enough gap that something small like a squirrel or a chipmunk can run through. So now what I'm going to do is cut off the rope so that when I pull up, the stick raises enough that it's off the ground. Alright, now I forgot to grab snare wire. Usually this would be done in snare wire because it's harder for the animal to see and it's thinner. But I'm going to just use this piece of rope I cut off and burnt the end so they wouldn't fray as snare wire. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a bowline knot. Now I've made my little tiny bowline knot and burnt the edge off so it creates a knot so it won't come down. So I put my rope through here, so now it's adjustable, so then it will choke the animal when it goes through and tighten it around its neck. Now what I did is I tied, so this noose is on the same stick that we tied and put around the tree. So I tied multiple half hitches around this rope just to make sure that this rope here with the noose is connected to the one with the tree if the stick breaks. Next you're going to want something heavy. I'm using this bucket full of stone just because it's heavy enough that I can still lift it up, and I believe that that stick may still be able to support this. But once that it gets tripped, it will pull the animal up swiftly and fast enough so it can't get away. Now for a demonstration on what this trap is and what it does, I'm going to use this, which is about the size of what you'd be catching it with, but it also is not as heavy, so we'll see how it goes. And it starts to struggle, and then it gets choked. Now I have found a pretty big supply of these, which are garlic mustard, and they are edible. Another edible food that I came across just now is this, which I think we all recognize as dandelion or weed. Now I don't know if you can see this, but these beans now have started, some of them have actually started to lose their coating in their shell. So I think we actually might be able to make these tonight, which means I will have to get a fire started. I'm going to put in a little bit more water just so it covers all of the beans. Now because my parents don't want me ruining their grass, I am going to have to use this like metal fire pit. But it'll still work. I'm still going to try to do it the old-fashioned way, even with that piece of skin that's sticking up. I'm also going to have to, I also want to try to make a bandage out of plants with that. It'll be pretty cool, so I'm going to start working on the fire, and I'll see you there. I'm going to use the lighter because I did try to do it the way that the primitive technology guy does it, but since I had no training, it just fell apart and it was a mess. Alright, so what I did to start the fire was I just put down dry sticks and leaves to try to get the fire going, and now I'm just laying down smaller sticks so I can work my way up to large enough sticks so I can get a coal bed going. So I've got the fire to a medium size now. I'm trying to put more small sticks on just so I have a coal bed under there. Because if I get a good enough coal bed, I can actually use the coals. They will last all the way through the night, and I can use them in the morning to start my fire rather than wasting the fuel from my lighter. Okay, so I've gotten it up to a pretty good size. So once I start getting a coal bed, and I am sure that it won't go out once I put the pot in, I will do that. So, and I did have to change pot because my parents said that I couldn't use the other one because it was too nice a quality. So I got this one that's older, that they don't care if it gets wrecked. So, yep. Okay, so I've gotten this fire to an insanely large size. So I'm probably gonna let this turn into coal bed or near it. And I'm still gonna keep the fire going. Just I want that coal bed down there so it keeps the bottom of the pan hot. So I've put our beans on here. They're starting to sizzle a little bit. And how I've been feeding the fire is I've been sticking sticks underneath the pot to keep that bottom. The only problem is that it just moved again. So I'm gonna let you go and then I'm gonna fix this. So they're boiling now. I don't know what's really happening because that's not really like a normal boil. It looks like there's actually inches of foam. I don't know. I've never done cooked beans before, so this is new to me. So I'm waiting for this to finish up. My camp has become a mess, so I'm going to clean this up and make it all organized and neat. So I just finished cleaning up my campsite, so it looks pretty good. I laid out my sleeping bag, and then there's my pillow for the night. Alright, so the beans are almost done cooking. They've been on here for I think about 2 hours, so I'm going to take them off and eat them. So I took out the beans, and I'm taking them out with this. I just cut off the top of the water bottle, and I'm using that to put it into the water bottle so I have something I can eat it out of. So I've taken out enough beans to fill this water full. I have my fork because we did buy some silverware, and I'm going to eat up. So I've eaten quite a bit of these beans, and they're not the best, but I'm pretty hungry because I haven't had anything all day, so it's good. Alright, so the fire has gone out, so I'm going to try to get it back going again with just the embers. Shouldn't be too hard of a task. So, yeah, I'll go back when I have it started again. So it's getting a little darker now, and I do have some blisters. So that one's open right there, and there was a monster one right there, but it just... So, like I thought, it wasn't that hard. All I had to do was clump that coal bed together to make it hot. I just put some sticks on, not even anything like leaves or dry leaves or pine cones, and I just blew on it and it caught flame. Alright, so it's slowly getting darker. But we got I got the fire going again pretty strong. And then we added, so I added more sticks to our shelter, like a lot more to the front, just so we can have more wind protection. I don't have any leaves, and I think I might want to do that. So I'm probably going to get back when I do that. I have used up all of our water bottles, mostly on the beans. So if I use, and I did have to refill 2 of them. So if I use 10 bottles a day, that means those 80 bottles is only going to last us a few days before we actually have to, 80 bottles, 8 days before we actually have to use our rainwater, which is not good. Now, the good thing, the problem is that I only drank like 3 of those bottles. The rest went towards the water for cooking the beans. So if we were to have, I guess, less beans, then we would be able to actually have enough water. Nice, so it's getting really dark now. Thank God my camera adjusts to light. But our fire is going good. And our sleeping area, ow! I also broke some more blisters and they like really hurt. But yeah, so we added more sticks, so even more coverage from the wind. Thank gosh it's not raining tonight. And then another thing that I'm planning on doing just before I go to bed is do a quick journal. So it's officially nighttime, and it's like really dark. But the fire is going good, and my shelter will last me through the night. Luckily, it's not gonna rain. But I do have it so that wind cannot get through. We went back, and I got more wood. So it's like no holes in it anymore. Not a single hole. You can't really see it that well. But yeah, so it should be pretty nice the rest of the night. So it's getting pretty late now. I'm turning the flashlight on because it's really dark. But I'm going to wait till this fire goes out, and then I'm going to head to bed. Into my sleeping bag for the night. So hopefully it goes well. So the fire just went out. And it's just slowly roasting, so I think it is safe that I can go to bed. Alright, so it's pretty dark, and here's my sleeping area. It's pretty, I put more and more sticks on it, so now we are windproof, and I'm going to be using that as a pillow. Okay, pretty warm though. I slept through the night. I don't know what time it is, but my dog just came to see me. Now he's checking out the shelter. I think it might be around 7, maybe 8, because I did go to bed at like 10, so if I was to get 9 hours sleep, it would be around there, because I did get up quite a bit. So I think that the plywood that we bought was a good investment, because it's hard enough to make something windproof, and I didn't even do that good of a job with that. It did work for the night, but if I was to try to make this rainproof, it would have never worked, and we would have gotten soaked. Another thing is that the water bottles, I think, were a good investment, because you could cut off the bottoms and the tops to make containers after you drink, and then it's a sufficient source of water that you can have right then and there. And then I improvised with these bags to make kind of a waterproof holding bag for different things, so we could actually use that other bucket for rainwater instead. So like I put all my stuff that I didn't want wet inside of this. And then I think the hatchet was a really good investment, because I did use that quite a bit, not just for the shelter, but also for the snares. So that was a good investment. And then I think that a tripod grill, that was a good investment as well, because the beans, they cooked way too fast, and I think that was what the problem was. I'm not 100% sure, but that sounds like something that it could be, because they're still very not cooked all the way, but they were edible. And I think maybe a bigger pot or pan, because we did buy a very small pot and pan. So yeah, everything else was fine. I think it was warm. The rest of the night it was pretty good. I woke up a few times and shifted my position. I really liked the place where I put my shelter. This didn't fall on me in the middle of the night, thank gosh. That would have been bad. But yeah, I think in all, it was pretty good. I think we made a lot of right decisions with what we bought. I can finally have coffee. Yes.